Henry Ford. The name itself brings to mind the image of a car, but not just any car, a simple, sturdy automobile that anyone could own. It is a name that echoes through the halls of history, etched into the very foundation of the modern world. It represents far more than just a company or a brand whose blue oval is recognized globally. It stands for a revolution, a complete and total transformation of how people lived, worked, traveled, and even dreamed. This is the story of the man who put the world on wheels, a farm boy from Michigan whose relentless vision and controversial methods would forge a new American century. He didn't invent the automobile, but in a very real sense, he invented the automotive age. His story begins not in a bustling city, but on a quiet farm in Greenfield Township, Michigan, where he was born in 1863. From a young age, Henry harbored a deep-seated dislike for the grueling, repetitive labor of farm life. His mind wasn't on the soil, it was on the gears, the levers, the intricate dance of mechanical parts. A defining moment came in his early teens when he was gifted a pocket watch. Most boys would have cherished it. Henry, however, promptly took it apart piece by piece, studied its inner workings, and successfully reassembled it, a feat that amazed his friends and family. This was the first glimpse of the mechanical genius that would define his life. The rhythmic chug of a steam engine on a country road was, to him, a symphony of progress. He knew his destiny lay not behind a plow, but inside a workshop. At 16, against his father's wishes, he left the farm for the burgeoning industrial hub of Detroit, ready to answer the call of the machine. In Detroit, Ford immersed himself in the world of mechanics, taking an apprenticeship at a machine shop. He learned to operate and service steam engines, absorbing every detail. His career took a pivotal turn when he joined the Edison Illuminating Company. Here, working with electricity, he rose to the position of chief engineer, but his day job was merely a means to an end. His nights were dedicated to a personal obsession, the internal combustion engine. In a small brick shed behind his home on Bagley Avenue, he toiled away. On Christmas Eve of 1893, with the help of his ever-supportive wife, Clara, he brought his first gasoline engine to life on their kitchen sink. It was a sputtering, noisy contraption, but to Ford, it was the sound of the future. This kitchen sink engine was the heart of his next project. For 3 years, he tinkered, refined, and built. The result, in 1896, was the Ford quadricycle. It was little more than a frame, 4 bicycle wheels, and a tiller for steering, but it was a self-propelled vehicle. In the early hours of a June morning, he wheeled it out of his shed, only to realize the door was too small. With an axe, he smashed through the brickwork, a symbolic act of breaking down barriers. His first drive through the streets of Detroit turned heads and marked the beginning of his journey as an automaker. But the road to success was paved with failure. His first venture, the Detroit Automobile Company, dissolved after producing only a handful of cars. His second, the Henry Ford Company, ended when his investors pushed for high-priced luxury models, a vision directly opposed to Ford's dream of a car for the common man. He walked away, but he took his name and his unwavering vision with him. These failures weren't setbacks. They were crucial lessons in what not to do. In 1903, with a small group of investors who believed in his vision, the Ford Motor Company was born. Ford famously declared, "I will build a car for the great multitude." He envisioned a vehicle so simple to operate and so low in price that no man making a good salary will be unable to own one. After a series of preliminary models, each an improvement on the last, the culmination of his dream arrived on October 1st, 1908. It was called the Model T, affectionately nicknamed the Tin Lizzie. It was everything Ford had promised. Built with a new, lightweight yet incredibly strong vanadium steel, it was durable enough to handle the rutted, muddy roads of rural America. Its high ground clearance allowed it to go where other cars couldn't. It was simple to maintain, with parts that could be repaired by a local blacksmith. The Model T wasn't just a machine, it was an instrument of liberation. It freed families from the isolation of farm life, connected communities, and gave ordinary people a sense of freedom and mobility they had never known. The Model T was an instant sensation. Demand skyrocketed, far outstripping the company's ability to produce them. Ford's factories were a chaotic scene of skilled craftsmen moving from car to car, slowly assembling each one. Ford knew there had to be a better way. He found his inspiration in an unlikely place, the slaughterhouses of Chicago. He observed their disassembly lines, where carcasses moved along a conveyor, with each worker performing a single specific cut. Ford decided to reverse the process. In 1913, at his Highland Park plant, he introduced the world's first moving assembly line for complex manufacturing. Instead of workers moving to the car chassis was pulled by a rope across the factory floor, stopping at stations where workers performed a single repetitive task. The results were staggering. Assembly time for a single Model T plummeted from over 12 hours to just 93 minutes. This was the birth of mass production. It also led to one of Ford's most famous edicts. To maximize efficiency, only one color of paint was used, Japan Black, because it was the only one that dried fast enough. Any customer can have a car painted any color that he wants, Ford quipped, so long as it is black. The assembly line was brutally efficient, but it was also mind-numbingly monotonous. Worker turnover was astronomical, reaching 370% in 1913. To build a stable workforce, Ford made another revolutionary move. On January 5, 1914, he announced that he was more than doubling the standard wage for his workers to a staggering $5 for an 8-hour day. The news sent shockwaves through the industrial world. Competitors called him a socialist, a madman, but Ford's logic was pure capitalist genius. The high wage attracted the best, most reliable workers, drastically reducing turnover and training costs. Productivity soared, but more importantly, he turned his own workers into customers. By paying them a wage that allowed for disposable income, he created a new consumer class that could afford to buy the very Model Ts they were building. It was a radical concept that helped create the American middle class. The policy came with strings attached, however. Ford's sociological department would visit workers' homes to ensure they were living sober, responsible lives, a paternalistic and intrusive policy that revealed the complex, controlling side of his genius. Ford's ambition was boundless. He built the River Rouge complex, a colossal, vertically integrated industrial city where raw materials entered at one end and finished automobiles rolled out the other. He was a man of profound contradictions, a devoted pacifist who sailed a peace ship to Europe to try and stop World War I. He later became a massive supplier of military equipment for the Allied effort in World War II. A visionary who empowered millions, he also used his personal newspaper, the Dearborn Independent, to publish virulently anti-Semitic articles, a dark stain on his legacy that cannot be ignored. His greatest strength, his singular, unyielding focus, also became his greatest weakness. He stubbornly refused to change the Model T, even as competitors introduced more stylish, comfortable, and feature-rich cars. By the mid-1920s, the unchanging black Ford looked dated. In 1927, after producing over 15 million units, the last Model T rolled off the assembly line. The factories shut down for months to retool for its successor, the more modern Model A. Henry Ford would eventually pass control of the company to his son Edsel and, later, his grandson Henry Ford II. He passed away in 1947 at the age of 83, having witnessed the world he helped create. His legacy is far more than just a car company. Fordism, the system of mass production and high wages, became the global standard for industry. He democratized the automobile, reshaped our cities, created suburbs, and gave birth to the American road trip. He was a complex, flawed, and utterly transformative figure. Henry Ford didn't just build a car, he built the modern world. His name, once synonymous with a simple black automobile, remains a powerful symbol of innovation, ambition, and the relentless drive of a single individual to change the world forever. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel Scratch to Fortunes for more inspiring financial success stories. See you in the next one.